Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrecht and Tommy Kester.
Happy Tuesday morning to you, everybody. Welcome into Sports Daily. Tommy Kester along with Paul Savage in for Jacob Albrecht today. Jad Chambers, as always, producing our program. Appreciate you joining us here as we get you ready for the week ahead. It was a busy weekend, busy holiday weekend. Hope everybody enjoyed their Labor Day holiday. And we are excited to be here today. That IHOP hotline is open all morning for you, 869-1240. By the way, speaking of IHOP, IHOP is excited to bring back It's All You Can Eat Pancakes deal. Sounds pretty delicious to me. You can get that between now and September 15th. On the program today, we will talk with our friend Mike Gillespie from Kings of Kaufman about the recent struggles for the Kansas City Royals. That will be coming up a little bit later on in hour number one. Kicking off hour number two, Dan Israel, executive producer of the Chiefs Radio Network, will join us to talk a little bit about the Chiefs getting ready for their opener in just over 48 hours from now. Like I mentioned, it's a busy week, and we appreciate you listening, whether you're listening on KFH, online, on the Odyssey app, also watching our video stream, which you can find on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, and simulcasting on 12 News Connected. Paul Savage, good morning, my friend.
How are you doing, big boy? You doing okay? Did you have a good holiday weekend? I mean,
I did.
That Monday is always kind of a fun Monday, but then you got to go back to work on Tuesday. You know, I get that. But anyway, you had a good weekend?
Yeah, it was a good weekend.
Good.
You know, here's the thing about 3-day weekends.
Yes, what?
You know, I remember before I had kids, and it was like a 3-day party. You know, you get that time off work. You probably are having one last hurrah at the pool.
Right.
You know, you're barbecuing. I might be playing golf. You know, enjoying some adult beverages, like that sort of thing. I might be more tired today than I was at the beginning of the weekend, just chasing around the kiddos all weekend. But it was fun. It was a good weekend. Took my 3-year-old to a Windsurge game on Saturday night. That was fun. Beautiful weather on Saturday night. Actually, beautiful weather basically all weekend. So it was perfect. And then, just kind of chased him around for the rest of the weekend. How about you?
By the way, saw you and your boy on Facebook.
Yeah.
Looked like he was having a ball. He had his glove, the whole bit.
Yeah.
Did he even get close to sniffing a baseball?
He actually got a like a soft foam baseball. Like they were throwing him out. And
good for him.
And somebody, which I thought this was incredible, and I never caught the guy's name, but a man got one of those foam giveaway baseballs and just gave it to Cooper. Just gave it to him.
Good. That's a beautiful thing.
And my 3-year-old is very inquisitive. He asks a lot of questions. He's at that point in his life. And so for the rest of the game, he kept saying, "Daddy, why did that man give me his baseball?" I'm like, well, he wanted to be nice. He wanted to do something nice for you.
Let me just say this about baseball. That is the nature of baseball.
Yeah.
That is the nature of baseball fans. Try that at an NFL game. See what you get given to you.
Yeah.
Try that. That maybe a punch in the face is what you'd get.
Yeah.
But that's the beautiful thing about baseball. And all the time we see highlights of a fan getting a foul ball and looking around and saying, I'm going to give this to somebody, and gives it to a youngster. Oh, and those kids light up. But that's the beautiful thing about baseball. Baseball is like family, a lot more than some of the other sports. I hate to say that, but it is a lot more than football, I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. And, you know, the Windsurge, they do a great job with all the giveaways and the promotions and things like that. The only thing that I've got a little bit of a bone to pick from the game, and I didn't even think about bringing this up until right now. But, you know, they do all these giveaways. They do these promotions.
Well, that's good, though.
You know, one of the giveaways they do, and I don't know if I'm calling it the right thing or not, but it's like the ice cream sandwich toss. You know, and they've got their promotions team that they stand up on the dugouts and they're throwing ice cream sandwiches to the crowd, right? And literally one lands right at the feet of my son. And in that moment, and it's just me and him, and he's 3 years old, right?
Okay.
You know, so I don't have my wife as a reinforcement, you know, as backup to help take care of him. My first thought is that's the last thing my kid needs is some sugar, you know, right now at 7:00 in the evening watching a baseball game. He'd already had Cracker Jacks. He had already had, I don't even candy. He'd had all these other things. And here comes an ice cream sandwich landing right at his feet.
You're a great dad.
So,
all right. Boy, I wish you were my dad.
So I
Come
probably,
on, you're at a ballpark for guys'
I
sakes.
know. I'm just saying, like, I don't. Nobody else is going to have to deal with the kid all hopped up on sugar except for me. Like, that's my cross to bear in that moment.
I gotcha.
So no, it was great. We had a great time and really enjoyed it. Yes, Jad.
I was just going to say maybe after fifth inning, after the bottom of the fifth inning, you stop selling or you stop giving away on sugar for the parents out there.
I like that. It's kind of like how, the places like that, they stop beer sales.
Exactly.
Like middle of the eighth inning, just to make sure that everybody can drive home.
You guys are fun. You guys are really fun. I
Stop
can tell you.
Sugar sales for people under the age of 8 or something like that after the fifth inning.
Make sure I go to a ball game with you two.
I'm a classic fan though. Like, I enjoy. In fact, at one point, I had a bag of peanuts. My son had a bag of Cracker Jack, and it was like, take me out to the ball game right there.
Cracker Jacks, it's in the song.
In person, it was perfect. So really enjoyed it. We're going to kick off the show today talking baseball. And here's the thing, Paul. It's interesting. I was thinking about this before we got going today. We had both in-state college football teams, D1 teams, playing over the weekend.
Correct.
Of course, KU played on Thursday.
Right. Well,
Kansas State played on Saturday.
That's right.
Both of those teams played. The defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, they play their game in just over 48 hours from now.
That's right.
Kicking off their season against the Baltimore Ravens inside Arrowhead. It's September 3rd, and we're going to lead off the show today talking about the Kansas City Royals.
Well, we got to.
Which is insane. I mean, it's crazy to me that we're in this place, and we'll get into what the weekend held for the Royals in just a second, but just at its surface, it's crazy to me that we are in the final month of the regular season in Major League Baseball. Football has kicked off everywhere around us, and we're leading off the show talking about baseball.
And it's a bummer. It's a bummer, rap about this thing. We're going to talk about the Royals, and it's not going to be enjoyable. It's not going to be fun, but go ahead. I mean, get it started. I mean, we gotta do it. We might as well get it over with right now because, here we are. We've got, a three-peat that we're going to be talking about here in just a little bit on this show.
Yeah.
A three-peat for the Kansas City Chiefs. And, but we're going to talk about Royals baseball.
We are.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm proud of the Royals. I can't believe they're where they are and how good they've done, what their overall record is, the fact that they're only 4.5 games out of first, which, by the way, they were tied. They were tied for the lead of the division. What, 8 days ago? Was it about
less than a week ago? It was
less than a
Wednesday.
So a week, almost. Well, 6 days. Yeah.
6 days ago.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, Paul, that there has been a team that has had such a swing of their fortune in less than a week's time than the Kansas City Royals.
Oh, my.
This team just cannot catch a break. They're riding a 6-game losing streak. It's their longest of the season right now. They go to Houston. They get swept by the Astros. And then all of a sudden, they come back home on Monday, and they lose a Labor Day game at home in front of a really good crowd at Kauffman to the Guardians, the team that they're chasing.
Correct.
That by itself is bad enough.
Right.
And then you layer in some of the other things that have happened to them over the course of the week. Vinny Pasquantino, we discussed it Friday. That news came down breaking Friday morning.
Yep.
He's out 6 to 8 weeks with a broken thumb.
Yep.
Will he make it back in time for a potential playoff run? I mean, that remains to be seen how far the Royals will go in the playoffs. So he is dealing with an injury. You've got other pitching injuries. Michael Lorenzen on the IL. Lucas Ursig was injured on that same play with Vinny Pasquantino. Doesn't look like his, injury is nearly as severe as what Pasquantino faced, but still dealing with that. You've got Hunter Harvey, who is one of your trade acquisitions before the deadline, who was slated to have a fairly high leverage role in that Royals bullpen, go down with an injury. His return remains to be seen. And then they bring in these reinforcements off of waivers over the weekend. I thought they probably would. They needed some reinforcements. They bring in Tommy Pham. They claimed him off waivers from the Cardinals. They bring in Robbie Grossman, claimed him off waivers from the Rangers. And they trade for Yuli Gurriel, who Gurriel, by the way, when his prime and his heyday, hit a bunch of home runs for Houston. They bring him in, and he exits the game yesterday with a hamstring injury. And so who knows, if he'll return and what that will look like. So they just can't catch a break. And then the cherry on top of it, Paul, and I, we're not going to speculate on this. I don't know what's going on. Their manager, Matt Quatrero, was not with the team yesterday dealing with a personal matter, and their bench coach had to serve as interim manager for the game yesterday. So this is a team desperate for a break. They need a day off. They will get one this week. But it's been just a brutal stretch of baseball for the Royals. On a scale of 1 to 10, right now, knowing that they're riding this losing streak, How concerned are you about the Royals overall and their prospects for the playoffs?
Very concerned. I mean, and not in the fact that they're not going to at least get a wild card. We think they'll still get a.
They've got to
play better.
But they've got a healthy lead in the wild card race still.
But they've got, but I mean, that can go pretty quick. I mean, there's still almost a month. There's almost a month of baseball left. So, it makes you think to yourself, somewhere this little streak, and this happens all the time in baseball. That's the unique thing about baseball. You have these slumps. But Jiminy Christmas, Tommy, we're in September. This is it. We're in the last month. You're going to play postseason baseball in what, 3 weeks? A little over 3 weeks. But you get the drift. I'm just saying that, yes, I am concerned, but it's still baseball. But, man, it's getting too late in the season just to be baseball. It's baseball. Yeah, but it's getting late in the season for that. You can't have a 6-game losing streak. You can't have a 6-game. And even say you limp in to the wild card. Say you do that. How confident would you be with this team at this point, playing the way they're playing, having the injuries that they have? How confident are you that they can even, get through the wild card and into the regular playoffs and make a run? I mean, I would be a little concerned.
Yeah.
I would be, if it was me and I was managing that team, I'd be a little concerned.
I do believe that the rotation, and we're going to get into this more with our buddy Mike Gillespie from Kings of Kaufman here in just a little bit to talk about the Royals at 9:30, but their rotation is set up for a short playoff series. So that is a positive, I think, for the Royals. Mm-hmm. But offensively, I mean, they clearly are missing the pop of Vinny Pasquantino in the lineup. They did for sure over the weekend with the Astros. So that's a major issue. They were limited in what they could do in bringing in some reinforcements. And you know what? Tommy Pham has been pretty darn good for the Royals, batting leadoff, since in just a couple of games coming over from the Cardinals. They were limited in who they could pick up on the waiver wire and that sort of thing. I'm most concerned offensively for them. What do they do? How are they able to get a spark, offensively with the bats? That's going to be the major challenge, I think, for the Royals. They scored 2 runs yesterday, Paul, against the Guardians, 2 runs against the Astros on Sunday, 2 runs against the Astros on Saturday. They've scored 2 runs basically every game since Friday. So it's been a challenge for them to get runners across. Even that opener against the Astros on Thursday, they only scored 3. So it's been a minute since we've seen a big kind of offensive explosion from Kansas City. And I'm not exactly sure what they can do to turn that around, outside of just getting more consistent production. But they're really missing Pasquantino in the middle of that lineup.
Well, and there's no question about that. And I like the way you've referred to it as that pop in the lineup. And that is the pop in the lineup that's hurting them. But it just seems like no matter what they do, that there's just going to be these problems. But here's the thing about the wild card. It's so short, it's so fast. I mean, it's here, it's there, it's gone. Then all of a sudden you're into the regular rotation for a World Series championship. I mean, it just concerns me that a week ago, because the time period is so short now, we're now less than 4 weeks left in the regular season. And it's just a concern to me that 6 days ago, thank you for pointing, I thought it was 8 days ago, 6 days ago, the Royals were tied for first in the division.
They had the tiebreaker too, by the way.
They had the tiebreaker. I forgot about that. Yeah,
that's right. Had the season ended on that day, they would have been the AL Central champions.
Right. And then to drop literally 6 days, 6 days. Now you're 4.5 games out. I mean, Tommy, there's something that to be said what's going on, because you're right. 6 games in a row. Granted, it's not the White Sox territory, 6 games in a row. But
nobody's in the White Sox territory.
That's a category of their own. But the point is that you've got to be concerned. If you're a Royals fan, you've got to be concerned. And I think both you and I are.
I for sure am.
I know.
And JJ Picollo, to his credit, has been very aggressive even before the trade deadline at bringing in reinforcements to get this team over the hump. And there have just been some pretty unfortunate injuries, whether you're talking about Harvey or Lorenzen, now Pasquantino, Yuli Gurriel going down with a hamstring injury. It's like everything that they're trying to do. I know Pasquantino is not an acquisition, but those other guys are. Every single thing you're trying to do acquisition-wise, these guys are ending up getting injured. We're in the dog days now, Paul. There's only, like you mentioned, 4 weeks left of the regular season. And, you know, every game for a long time has been critical for Kansas City, but especially here down the stretch. And this series in a bubble absolutely is, considering they're playing the Guardians, who, as you just mentioned, they were tied for the AL Central lead less than a week ago. Now they're 4.5 games back, just like that.
That hurts.
You've got to get these games at home starting tonight against the Guardians. You have to get this turned around. That's going to be easier said than done, and we'll talk about how that can happen coming up in just a little bit. Mike Gillespie from Kings of Kaufman will join us at 9:30. We'll step aside for a quick timeout. On the other side, let's get into K-State real quick. We'll have more on the Wildcats later on in the show, but I want to mention their game on Saturday, the beginning of the official Avery Johnson era in Manhattan. We'll talk about that next. Tommy Castor, Paul Savage, Jad Chambers, Sports Daily, coming right back.
Colin Huck's power washing is like getting to the top of Mount Everest with only a bag of beef jerky and a soda. Huck's can conquer all residential or commercial exterior cleaning woes that you have, leaving you feeling like you're on top of the world. House washing, window cleaning, driveway washing, to even graffiti removal. Coming this fall, we'll offer professional holiday lights installation. We love muck and gunk. You don't. Let Huck's handle it. Call for a quote today.
Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
Welcome back, everybody. Just a reminder, the baseball coverage on KFH is presented by T-Mobile. Switch to T-Mobile and you can get tons of benefits and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Use their savings calculator to find out how at T-Mobile.com/switch. The Royals will be right here on KFH and on the Odyssey app tonight at 7 o'clock hosting the Guardians. We'll have more about the Royals coming up in just a few minutes with Mike Gillespie from Kings of Kaufman. That's coming up around 9:30 this morning. But Paul, very quickly, let's shift gears here. K-State had their opening game Saturday night. Again, it was a beautiful evening for football up in Manhattan at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. The Wildcats take on UT Martin. They coasted to victory. It ended up being, a 41-6 win for the Wildcats on Saturday. We saw Avery Johnson take the helm. It's his team now, and that's, obviously the number one storyline coming out of that game. It kind of reminds me a little bit of on Friday when you and I discussed KU and Lindenwood, how it's hard to have a bunch of takeaways when you're playing an FCS team. But still, I think that a lot of what happened in that game followed a similar script to what happened in the KU Lindenwood game. It was sloppy a little bit for the K-State offense, especially early on. The defense looked really solid for the Wildcats. And really, aside from that, you just kind of mark it on the win-loss record as a victory for the Wildcats and move on. It'll be a much tougher test this weekend on the road at Tulane.
Well, we could go over, the Wildcats played well, but it's UT Martin. I'm not even sure what town that is. That probably in Martin, Tennessee, I guess is probably what it is. I don't know. But, I don't want to put too much emphasis on this particular game. The fact is they got the cobwebs off from last year, so now they've got it up and going. But I'm not going to read too much into that. They were more physical, obviously. They had that touchdown that I was wondering about on special teams. You like to see in this time.
Dylan Edwards looked really good.
He did.
And I've been wondering all offseason, as soon as he announced he was transferring to K-State, would he be somebody that would get a bunch of snaps, or would they ease him in alongside DJ Giddens? What would that look like for the Wildcats? And he, he, at least in this opening game, was pretty effective, and they gave him the ball quite a bit.
Right. Well, he had 5 carries. He averaged about nine yards a carry, which is darn good.
Sure, absolutely.
And will that be the same when they play Utah? Probably not. But the fact is that was the first game. So you like to see that Avery Johnson. You would like to have seen him with maybe a little more downfield. I didn't think he stretched the field as well as he could have, but a lot of that's not up to him. And so you take what you can get, and whatever sometimes the coaches are calling. I believe Avery Johnson would have had a lot better chance to stretch the field, if this had been a bigger time opponent. But with that being said, the one thing I liked about this game was my one win on football picks. My pick.
That was your one? That was your only one?
I went 1-4. Thank goodness. This was a 36-point spread, and K-State won by 35.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, a little
I
rough.
stunk up the week.
A little rough.
None of us smelled like roses.
Yeah, it's tough when you've got, games like that and everybody's an unknown opening up the season. It makes it makes it a little difficult.
Yeah.
So, of course, we'll have a recap of those picks, and we'll pick new games coming up on Friday in our Friday football picks segment of the program. We'll have more on K-State. I actually have a question in hour 2 I want to ask you.
Let's do it.
Regarding the Wildcats, and it even relates to the Jayhawks too. So we'll talk about that
Good.
in hour number 2. On the other side, we'll be joined by Mike Gillespie. Kings of Kaufman will go back to the Royals, talk about the rough stretch of baseball that we've seen over the last 6 days. That's on the other side on Sports Daily.
Colin Huck's power washing is like getting to the top of Mount Everest with only a bag of beef jerky and a soda. Hucks can conquer all residential or commercial exterior cleaning woes that you have, leaving you feeling like you're on top of the world. House washing, window cleaning, driveway washing, to even graffiti removal. Coming this fall, we'll offer professional holiday lights installation. We love muck and gunk. You don't. Let Hucks handle it. Call for a quote today.
Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just
right
search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first,
When you need it.
wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Sports Daily here on KFH on this Tuesday. Tommy Castor, Paul Savage in for Jacob Albrock today. Jad Chambers producing the program. The IHOP hotline is open at 869-1240. Appreciate you joining us today on the program. Also joining us here on Sports Daily now, our friend Mike Gillespie from Kings of Kaufman joining us. If you're watching our video stream, we've got Mike joining us here via video on our Sports Daily live video stream. And we've got a lot to talk about, Mike. First off, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be back.
You know, Mike, I'm not sure that there's a team out there that has had quite a change in their fortune and quite a turn of events in just less than a week's time than the Kansas City Royals have faced since that fourth game, that finale in Cleveland on Thursday. From then until now, it's almost been kind of free fall, and there's been some really unfortunate developments with the Royals. And, you know, we're going to dive right into it. Paul and I talked about it at the top of the show. But first off, from a 30,000-foot view, what's your biggest assessment, your biggest takeaway from what you've seen over the last week from the Royals?
Well, besides the fact that they now have the longest losing streak they've had all season, you know, I think what you're seeing from this team right now is some fatigue. You know, I noticed it really strongly for the first time in that fourth game at Cleveland. They look tired. I don't want to say that they look, you know, disinterested or anything like that. They just look fatigued. You know, especially at the plate. And you add to that losing the almost 100 RBI production of Vinny Pasquantino. People get excited when they signed Yuli Gurriel, who I think was just a great out-of-the-blue acquisition. He goes down yesterday. We still don't know for how long. There's a little bit of uncertainty on that injured list. And when it gets right down to it, you have a team that right now is just surrounded by so much uncertainty. And, you know, it doesn't help that they've got Cleveland back in, Minnesota this weekend, and then they go to the Bronx. It's a tough stretch.
You know, when we looked at this particular schedule, I mean, Tommy and I were just, 6 days ago talking about the fact with the Guardians being tied, you know, that was, you know, both the Guardians and the Royals had the same record, tied for first in the Central. I mean, it was really something. And then to have this kind of fall off. We were talking earlier in this show with regards to the timing of the year. This becomes more difficult to get it back on track, doesn't it? Aren't we at that time of year where you lose 6 straight? You know, this isn't April, this isn't May, this isn't early June. This is now September. Talk a little about in your thought process with regards, how much harder, if it is harder in your opinion, does it to get back on track and get to that point where you're playing Royals baseball that we've come to really enjoy over the course of this particular season?
Oh, I think it's infinitely more difficult. You know, there isn't, you can't have that mindset anymore like you can in April or May or even June that, hey, we've got plenty of time to get this straightened out. There's 23 games left on this schedule. An injury, you know, the importance and impact of injuries is incredibly magnified right now. Can you get somebody back from the injured list? Look at Vinny. He's not going to be back until deep in the playoffs, in my opinion. But there aren't those cushions anymore. And, compounding that is if you lose a player like Pasquantino, your option is replace him with somebody on the roster, dip into the minor leagues where there isn't a whole lot, or pull off that minor league trade that's, the only exception to the trade deadline right now. And there isn't a lot out there. Gurriel was a great acquisition, like I say, but it's crunch time, and anything that happens, a loss, a win, is just magnified so much. It's tough right now. They've got that 4.5 wild card game lead over Boston. They're going to have to hope that's enough, because I don't think they're going to win the division.
Oh my.
Yeah, I mean, it really, honestly, Mike,
Yeah.
it's going to come down to the next couple of games against Cleveland if they can get themselves back in the race. It's just wild to think about the fact that less than a week ago, not only were they tied with the Guardians for the AL Central lead, but they had the tiebreaker. And so, had the season ended on that day, they would have ended up, winning the AL Central. It's interesting because, I think Paul and I discussed on Friday. No, I guess it would have been Jacob and I on Wednesday. We discussed when that or Thursday, when the comeback happened against the Guardians, when it looked like the Royals could sweep the series against Cleveland in Cleveland, and then the late game comeback, and Michael Wacha was left in the game probably a little too long. Lucas Erceg, had not a great, outing, and there were some bad defensive issues and that sort of thing in that, what was it, 7th inning or whatever for Cleveland. At the time, I thought, okay, well, that's just one game, like still getting 3 out of 4 from the Guardians is great, and you can move forward and feel still really good about where you're at. And at that point, it was almost like everything just fell off a cliff. And I know that you said that, you wouldn't use the word disinterested, and I wouldn't use that word either. But I think, at least from what I can tell, I mean, body language says a lot. And, not only are they tired and fatigued, but I think you can also tell as soon as Pasquantino went down with that injury, it was almost like, the air was just sucked out of the building, and it's almost carried on and been that way ever since.
Yeah, I agree. The impact of that injury, I think, was pretty obvious at the time it happened. Because the Royals, and I even wrote a little bit about this, they look shell-shocked.
Yeah.
As soon as that happened, and anybody watching that game who has watched a lot of baseball, or a lot of sports for that matter, knew the way Pasquantino went down that was a serious deal. He not only wasn't going to stay in the game, but he wasn't going to be back for a while. Quatrero looked shocked. Bobby Witt Jr. Looked just dismayed.
Yeah.
And I think you're right that when we look back on this season, if the Royals don't get into the playoffs, I think you're going to be able to look back at that and say that's when it started.
When you look at the overall world of Major League Baseball, particularly in the American League, the Yankees and Baltimore are clearly really two of the best teams in the entire American League. But the Guardians are one game back. You look at Houston, they've got 75 wins. Break down this hierarchy of baseball right now in the American League. Who do you like? Who do you think is going to make that run in the last 20-some games of the regular season? Who do you like right now to win the American League and go to the World Series?
Well, that's a great question. One of the really fascinating things about this season is you look at it, as you say, the Yankees, the Orioles, and the Astros. In some ways, those are clubs that have overcome an awful lot. I mean, look at Houston. They were 10 games behind at one point. And suddenly they burst out of nowhere. If I had to pick an American League pennant winner right now, as much as I'd like to pick the Royals, I can't. I'd have, and as I'm not going to go into all the reasons that I'm not a big Houston fan, but I'd have to pick the Astros. I think right now they're the cream of the American League crop.
Mike, I think with all of the, negativity, obviously bringing everybody down on this Tuesday, but for good reason. It's been, a rough stretch for the Royals. I think that one silver lining, at least that I can think of, and there are probably a few out there, but one off the top of my head is that JJ Picollo has been relentless in trying to add reinforcements and try to make this team better. Now, unfortunately, some of those reinforcements have found themselves on the injured list and, that sort of thing, whether you're talking about Hunter Harvey, Michael Lorenzen, now Yuli Gurriel, is dealing with that hamstring injury, but he's been, definitely aggressive, whether we're talking at the trade deadline or, here recently with rosters expanding and the waiver wires and all of that. Tommy Pham is now a Royal, and he's, found himself, I think, pretty productive in just a small sample size the first couple of games in a Royals uniform. I think that, not that he can continue to be this aggressive during the final month of the season because things are severely limited here on out. But I do think that that's been a positive sign that, at least big picture wise, the Royals are aggressive in trying to find ways to make their team better.
Yeah, I agree. I spent some time with JJ Picollo a couple of winters ago at a media event he had at the stadium. And it was the first time I'd met him. I was overwhelmingly impressed with him. And I immediately decided in my own mind that he was not a Dayton Moore clone. As much as Moore did for a few years for the Royals, he still had a lot of baseball faults, in my opinion. But Picollo is a guy who's not afraid to go out and make a move. And I don't know that anybody expected him to go out and get Tommy Pham. But I think he got Tommy Pham for two reasons. One, I think they're a tiny bit uncertain about Renfroe's status. He can come off the injured list tomorrow or the next day, but now they're talking about maybe not till the weekend. But Pham is going to bring some fire to this team, and that's kind of what they needed. But you're right. JJ is not giving up on this team. JJ Picollo isn't going to give up on him at all. He might slow down a little bit if they get eliminated, but I really like him. He's been good.
And following up on that, Mike, Picollo mentioned with those acquisitions that, they know that they can't replace Vinny Pasquantino just solely with one player. But I think his words were they can try to find a way to replace him in the aggregate by bringing in Tommy Pham and Robbie Grossman and, of course, Gurriel. I don't know what his status is going to be moving forward, but I do think that begs a really good question. I can already see pitchers approaching this Royals lineup differently without Pasquantino in the middle of the lineup. You don't have to worry about the three-headed monster of Witt and Perez and Pasquantino. You just have to get through Witt and Perez. So in the final 23 games in this season, and it might very well be, Mike, that the Royals are desperately clinging for dear life onto a wild card spot. Is there anything you think that Matt Quatraro can do to mitigate this in the lineup, to maybe try to find, some more pop in that lineup, or to try to find a way, depending on who's pitching against them, to at least soften the blow of losing Vinny Pasquantino?
Yeah, it really becomes a situation, I think, where the Royals have to look inside and say, what can we do a little bit differently? And when you look at Witt and Garcia, who's got a lot of stolen bases, I think they have to pick up the running game. They're going to have to make things happen on the base paths. They kind of have been inconsistent all season with that. They were stealing a lot of bases early in the season. Now, not so much. But yeah, they're going to have to do things to manufacture runs, get those guys on base, and cut them loose.
I'd like to know, Mike, that Tommy went through a nice list of guys that the Royals have been looking at, trying to acquire, have acquired. A couple of them one of them's already gotten hurt. I mean, it's like that. But something, we got a bunch of guys that we're going to have to watch. We're going to have to look at. We're going to have to see how they do. I want your opinion, though. Give me your opinion on all the guys that are just now coming in. The Royals are acquiring the guy. Maybe it might be that something we don't know, that the Royals are going to acquire somebody you're pretty sure about. What's the one name? Give me the one name that I need to make sure I'm checking in on and making sure that seeing how he's doing. That will tell me just exactly where are the Royals for the rest of this season going into the wild card. Who's that one name that you're going to be checking on every day?
Well, let me give you two.
All right, give me two.
I've been watching Bobby Witt pretty closely. Bobby is one of the players who's looking kind of worn out. He's what did I say in my story last night? He's 2 for 19 in the last 5 have been home runs. Well, that's fine, but if he's slow, that's not going to be very good for the Royals. So I'm keeping a really close eye on him. They're not going to make the playoffs if he goes into a 2 or 3 week slump. The other player, believe it or not, that I've got in the back of my mind, I don't know that he's a make or breaker, but if Gurriel goes on the injured list, and something that a lot of people don't realize is when they traded for him Saturday, he was on the injured list at AAA Gwinnett with, guess what, a hamstring strain, which is what kicked him out of the game yesterday. They may, even though I don't think they're particularly fond of the idea, they may have to dip down into Omaha and bring up Nick Pratto. And if Pratto comes up and can give him a couple of weeks of just average hitting and a few homers that he's capable of hitting, that could be a big boon. Do I think that's going to happen? It all depends on Gurriel.
Talking to Mike Gillespie from Kings of Kaufman. Mike, a few minutes left here to chat with you. We talked a lot about the offense for Kansas City. The pitching looks tired. You mentioned Bobby Witt Jr. looking tired. I know that they tried to, I think he was the DH over the weekend for one of the games, just to give him at least a little bit of a rest because, I think everybody is pretty fatigued at this point. Pitching looks tired. Bullpen looks tired. Everybody looks tired. But there's no rest for the wicked, I think is the saying, right? Like you've got a tough series continuing against Cleveland back at home, and then it doesn't get any easier from there, like you mentioned with Minnesota and then the Yankees. I've seen a lot of chatter about this on social media, and I think it's extremely unlikely, probably a non-factor whatsoever, but I've seen enough chatter about it. I want to get your take on it. Is there any chance whatsoever that the Royals look at trying to rush and bring up Jack Caglianone to the big league squad by the end of this season? I mean, or is this something he's a future guy down the road? They're not even going to mess with that.
I would be shocked beyond belief if they called Jack up. That would just amaze me. He by no means is ready to come to the majors.
Yeah.
Rushing him in is the kind of thing that I've seen some other teams do over the decades just to get fans in the ballpark. But that's usually when they're far out of the race. I think it would be a big mistake to bring Jack up. Not saying it won't happen, but I don't think that's in JJ Piccola's universe right now.
Yeah, I've seen, like I mentioned, the chatter and the rumblings of Caglianone and, maybe even Blake Mitchell and some of these, other guys that are further down, in the farm system about trying to come up and help the Royals now. But as you mentioned, I think that the best scenario is for them to still continue to develop and get the kinds of reps and time in the minors that they need. They can absolutely be impact players at the major league level. I just don't think that. I think it shows a little bit of, or a lot maybe of desperation on the Royals' part if they were to go that route. And that doesn't, to your point a few minutes ago about JJ Piccolo, that doesn't seem to be his MO in the way that he operates.
Right. I think you're exactly right.
You have one more, Paul?
Just one quick short one. I know you're on top of things. Earlier in the year, we had all kinds of conversations with regards to the Royals moving the stadium to the Kansas side. it seems like we haven't heard much about it lately, Tommy, have you? There's no news really.
Yeah, not a ton.
Not a ton of news going on. I figured if anybody had their ear to the ground, it would be a guy like you, Mike. So give me a breakdown real quick. Where are the Royals, as best you can tell, with regards to making a move to the Kansas side of the state line?
Well, I thought that the chances were fairly good when the legislature just, jumped right in the deep end with that and offered him the star bonds or, the opportunity to try to get those. But this latest thing where they're going to try to kind of squeeze a ballpark, or they're talking about squeezing a ballpark in roughly across the street from Union Station, I think that might go. The mayor is really pushing that hard. He's saying that they can probably do that without the kind of tax money that the Royals and Chiefs were, asking from the Jackson County taxpayers. But so with that recent development, I'd be kind of surprised if the Royals cross the state line. I really would.
Real quick, Mike, before we let you go, Kings of Kaufman, is the website, obviously the socials. I know you've been doing a lot of writing, especially as things have been progressing over the last few days or so. What can folks find at kingsofkaufman.com?
Well, that's a good question. You kind of asked me something similar last week, but we don't just report the games. We give a lot of opinion and analysis. We're watching the injuries pretty closely. One of the other guys had a story up early this morning about the injury status. So I think you're going to see from us down the stretch a lot of quick reaction to some events, some analysis about what players can they bring in, and we'll have a mix of a few other things. I've got a Salvador Perez story I really want to write. I may wait till the off season to do it. And this is also about the time of year that we'll be starting to mix in some things about, what JJ is going to do over the winter, who's going to be back, who isn't going to be back. But primarily we're going to be focused on this race, some pregame, some postgame, stuff like that.
Well, it's going to be interesting for sure. And so, of course, folks can check all of that out at kingsofkaufman.com. And, of course, you can follow Kings of Kaufman on social. They're at Kings of Kaufman. Mike, we appreciate your time as always. Hopefully next Tuesday we'll have a little bit more positive news to talk about. We'll talk to you then. We appreciate it.
So thanks, guys.
All right, there goes Mike Gillespie from Kings of Kaufman joining us here on Sports Daily. We're going to take a timeout, wrapping up hour number one here. On the other side, we've got back-to-back interviews. Dan Israel from the Chiefs Radio Network will join us, talking about the Chiefs opener in just over 48 hours from now against the Ravens. That's on the other side as we start off hour number two at Sports Daily. We're coming right back.
Colin Huck's power washing is like getting to the top of Mount Everest with only a bag of beef jerky and a soda. Huck's can conquer all residential or commercial exterior cleaning woes that you have, leaving you feeling like you're on top of the world. House washing, window cleaning, driveway washing, to even graffiti removal. Coming this fall, we'll offer professional holiday lights installation. We love muck and gunk. You don't. Let Huck's handle it. Call for a quote today.
Right. Start your day with 12 News This Morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News This Morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here. Celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just
right
search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour number 2 of Sports Daily getting going here on a Tuesday. Tommy Kester along with Paul Savage and for Jacob Albrocht. Jad Chambers producing the program. That IHOP hotline is open at 869-1240. You can, of course, listen to our program on KFH Radio online and on the Odyssey app. And our video stream is going for you on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X. Also, live streaming on 12 News Connected. Paul, you know, it's been one of those times, at least for me, where I've been so caught up in baseball season that it's been a little bit difficult for me to really get into football. And I know I'm going to get there. I'm for sure going to get there, especially in just a couple of days from now when we've got the Chiefs opening up their season inside Arrowhead on Thursday evening against the Ravens. But I wanted to watch a lot of college football, and I watched some, but I don't know. I'm still kind of caught up in baseball season right now. It might take me a minute to actually convert over to football.
Well, really good games were hard to find, Tommy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. If you like college football or you like football in general, you're going to watch some of these games. But there were some that, quite frankly, were not fun to watch. There were some interestings to watch. I mean, about 10 days ago, there was a game between Florida State and Georgia Tech. I watched a lot of that. And I think it was with Jacob. We had a show that Jacob and I were talking about that particular game. And I made the comment. I said, it looked like to me, I've never seen a Florida State so unphysical.
Yeah.
Particularly at the line of scrimmage. Florida State, no matter what you say about them, the overall speed they have never not been, that's a double negative, by the way, they have never not been a dominant team at the line of scrimmage. And as you still know to this very day, domination at the line of scrimmages does a great job about winning football games for you. If you can, master the other team, if you're dominant over the other team, have your will with the other team at the line of scrimmage, coming off the ball on both sides of the ball, you're going to have a good chance of winning. Florida State might be, I watched some of that game last night, Florida State and Boston College. I'm telling you, Tommy, that's a head coach right now that is on the hot seat, should be on the hot seat.
Mike Norvell.
Norvell. He should. There's a possibility he shouldn't be there. There's a possibility that he doesn't, coach this coming week because this has been embarrassing. This is 2 straight weeks of total embarrassment for Florida State. Boston College came out last night and ran the ball up the you-know-what. I'm not going to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. That's where Boston College ran the football on Florida State. And you just can't do that and then win games. It wasn't even close. Really and truly, it was a two games victory, or 2-score win for Boston College. It wasn't that close, Tommy. It wasn't that close.
Boston College basically controlled the game.
Controlled the line of scrimmage, controlled everything. They controlled the run. And anytime, even though we still live in a world where everybody wants to throw the fade, right? That's what they want to throw that, or they want to throw crossers and that kind of thing. Even in that world, controlling the football by running the football gives you a 10 times better chance of winning a football game.
How about this stat? This is the 3rd time in 5 seasons under Mike Norvell that Florida State has started a year 0-2. The 3rd time in 5 years.
Oh,
what does that tell you about Florida State as a program?
Well, let me tell you, he must be making so much money they can't afford to fire him because he should be gone. And I hate to say this about another coach. You rarely hear me say this about another football coach because we all have those moments where you don't have a good team. But this is 3 years at Florida State. That doesn't get it. How does Florida State make its case? Hey, if we want to join the SEC, why aren't we a member? Well, because you're not very good.
I'll tell you, it makes me feel a little bit less guilty about Florida State not getting in to the 14 playoff a season ago. Remember, that was the huge controversy that they lost their quarterback, broke his leg, all of that, and the committee left them out, and all of that uproar because they didn't get in. I don't know. I feel a little bit less guilty about them missing the playoff a season ago. And I know it's a different team. I know they've got a different quarterback. They've got all of that.
It doesn't seem fair, Tommy. You're usually a fair guy. I
feel less bad about it now.
Oh, feel less. There you go. Maybe that's what you do.
Feel less bad about them not getting in. Who is more? Who's down worse right now? Florida State or Florida? Because both teams had terrible weekends. Billy Napier and Florida lost. Florida State lost. Outside of what I guess Miami, really, it wasn't a good weekend for the state of Florida.
No, Florida's usually that hotbed of college football. And they've always said. There was a day everybody used to go to Florida and recruit. That's how many football players that run well are in the state of Florida. And of course, having watched a little bit of that Florida game, they and Miami's a good football team. I think Florida obviously was overrated. But with that being said, they're still better than Florida State. I don't want to be where Florida State is right now. You've got problems right now at Florida State that it doesn't look like can be fixed right off the top of the, you come out and practice. We can't fix them next week. I mean, it's going to take a little time, but Florida still has good athletes. It was a fairly competitive game. They didn't get blown off the line of scrimmage, and Miami's going to beat a lot of teams. I'm not going to be surprised if Miami isn't that representative in the playoffs for the ACC. They're a good football team, and I know the ACC is going to probably have some other teams that pop up and make a challenge. But dang, Miami looked really good.
Here's a hot take for you. I don't know if you're going to think that this is out of line or even maybe reasonable.
Lay it on me.
After this weekend.
Lay it on me.
With Florida State not playing like Florida State is accustomed to playing usually.
Okay.
With Clemson being down and not playing up to the standards that I would say Dabo Swinney is accustomed to and expects.
Yep.
The Big 12 is better than the ACC is. The Big 12 is a better football conference than the ACC is. If you don't have your two powerhouses in the ACC playing up to those standards, that it's always been Florida State and Clemson, Florida State and Clemson, Florida State and Clemson being the representatives from that conference, potentially playing for a national championship.
Well, hold on.
If you don't have either one of those teams playing up to their standards, the Big 12 is a better conference overall than the ACC is.
I want to go, oh, Tommy, you're so right. Oh, Tommy. Oh, Tommy, you're so right. Give me that marquee game that's happened so far, whether it was the first week or the second week or anywhere in between. What's that marquee? What is the marquee win for the Big 12 right now? Yeah, that's right.
Right. I'm not saying it's not about a marquee matchup in week one. It's just about the overall.
So we don't know
the overall conference, the overall body of work.
Well, the overall body of work of the ACC was, had Florida State as a top 10 football team. So we can only go by
in the same breath that there wasn't, really a marquee win in the Big 12 in week one. Was there an embarrassing loss from the Big 12 in week one? Because I'm not sure that there was.
No,
Florida State's had two and Clemson's had one. And I don't think Clemson was embarrassing. I mean, we know that, they played Georgia, obviously, and, Georgia is fantastic. But there have been a couple of really bad losses from the top tier teams in the ACC. I don't remember the Big 12 having any of those.
No, I know. And the fact is that Clemson losing too. I mean, although that was a better team that they played than anybody else. I mean, but Clemson still lost. We're not used to seeing Clemson lose.
Right.
Clemson is they've won 2 or 3 national championships.
Well, and they were out muscled. I mean, that's the thing. They take on a Georgia Bulldogs team that
Georgia's special.
Class.
Though.
I mean, they're class.
They're special
in the SEC and just in college football in general.
They're
and
special.
You could tell that Georgia. It almost looked like a different kind of team compared to the team that Clemson put out there. And I don't know if that might be related to NIL a little bit. I know Dabo has been openly critical about the way that college football, has progressed, and you've got to adjust and adapt with that. If you don't, then you're going to get left behind. And I don't know, Paul, it might be a bold take to say after week one, it almost looks like to me that Clemson has been a little bit left behind.
Well, that might be the case. It is. In fact, I think it is the case. I think NIL has been one of those kind of weird deals that doesn't seem like it's dealt Clemson a good hand.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the details are. A lot of this stuff, with portals and kids coming and going, let's face it, I can't keep up with a football team, and neither can nobody can. And we don't know what half these teams are anymore because you can't really go, how did they do last year? What bowl did they go to last year? How did they perform in the bowl last year? Because all these teams get so many kids to go, they get so many kids to come back in, and quite frankly, it's almost impossible to keep up with. I mean, you see a kid go from Oregon to Miami, which was the case with one of the Florida players. I mean, it's the tight end from Oregon to Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, it just
was that the kid that's played for like 9 seasons in college football?
Yeah.
I don't remember his name. I call him a kid. He's like 45.
Right. I kind of picked him out. I picked him out though, because it's like from one coast
all
the way to the, so you don't ever know where.
I just remember him because he's played in college football, longer than I've been a legal adult.
Yeah, his grandkids saw him play this for the first time. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke.
No,
but it seems like he's been around that long. But the point, but the point is that it's really hard to tell, particularly this time of the year. I mean, we talk about the traditional teams being really good, which I think you can do for about a handful. other than say 5 to 7 teams that you think and deep down inside, they're just going to reload because that's what they do. They reload and they get better from the portal. They get, that's just how they work. That's how they roll. But once you get past those 5 to 7 teams, Tommy, I don't know. You don't know. We've got to see a couple of weekends show up. We've got to see a couple. But we already know that we think Miami's going to be pretty good.
I think Miami will.
I'm
be
not
good.
convinced
Yeah.
Michigan's going to be good. Michigan against Fresno State. Were you impressed?
No,
I
wasn't.
was not impressed. I was not.
But
impressed.
Michigan, I think, of course, coming off a national championship, they've got. It's a completely different team.
Well, that's my point.
You
but
don't have Jim Harbaugh anymore,
and-
obviously.
well, that's right.
You don't have JJ McCarthy. You don't have Blake Corum. You don't have that core of the national championship team anymore. And so I wasn't shocked, when I saw that Michigan played, I would say, pedestrian football against Fresno State. I wasn't shocked by that.
They could have lost.
They could have lost the
They
game.
could have lost that.
They could
It would
have.
have been a little bit of a stretch, but it was certainly possible. Fresno State, and I don't think Fresno State's going to get a bid to the 12-team tournament. So, with that being said, now Texas goes to Michigan. That, Tommy, going to be some interesting television to watch. It's going to be fascinating to see just exactly how good Michigan is. I think Texas is pretty good. They played Colorado State, which I don't think was as good as Fresno State. Don't get me wrong on that. I think Fresno State's might be better than we think they're going to be. And that's exactly what I really think it is. But, I don't know what you can glean from Texas in their win over Colorado State. It was kind of a mismatch. But, it's going to be a fascinating game. This Michigan-Texas game, it might be, of all the games you want to tune in and try to catch, and I'm going to tell you right now, if it looks like it's not going to be a fun game, if it looks like Texas is going to dominate Michigan, get off of it. Go to another channel. Go watch another game. Don't waste your time on that because that's, to me, that will not be a fun game to watch. There'll be other games that will be fun, but it's going to be an interesting. I got to pay attention at first. Let's see what happens. But
I'll tell you right now that there was one game from over the weekend that I was spot on about, and there was one game from over the weekend that I couldn't have been more wrong about.
Lay them on me.
And the one that I couldn't have been more spot on about was it didn't make any sense to me, any logical reasoning that Notre Dame was a road underdog to Texas A&M. And I know you're going to College Station.
Okay.
I know you're playing A&M. I get all
You
of
knew what I was going to say.
I get all. I mean, Paul, I understand all of that. A&M has a brand new coach, and I like Mike Elko. Don't get me wrong.
I do too.
I like Mike Elko and what
do
he did at
too.
Duke. But it's going to take him a minute to get that program where he wants it. And you come out of the gate with the top 10 opponent in Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame, they're not world beaters by any means, but it shocked me that they were going to open up their season as underdogs. And I think Notre Dame flexed a little bit. It was a tight game. It was a low-scoring game, but it was a tight game up until midway through the fourth quarter, when Notre Dame was able to ultimately pull away and get the victory. But for me, going into that game, I thought, well, this is an auto pick for me. Like, I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take Notre Dame. Actually, I bet Notre Dame on the money line because I thought, yeah, they can easily go into College Station and win this game, and they did.
Yeah. Well, I didn't see it that way. But then again, here I am blinded by my love of the old Southwest Conference. I mean, when in doubt, I always enjoy rooting for the old Southwest Conference. That includes Rice, by the way. But the point being is that maybe I was blinded a little by my respect for the old SWC. Probably so. But A&M always what does Texas A&M have besides a lot of oil? That's NIL money.
I would say hype.
Hype.
That's probably a lot of hype.
A lot of hype. Well, that is true. But I was really disappointed in Texas A&M not winning that game and winning it by, say, 10. I was very, very disappointed because I really thought with all the hype, with all the players that they've gotten in the portal, with all the players that are making $1 million a year, that you would have to just go. But then Notre Dame's paying their players too, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think there's a thing called NIL at Notre Dame as well.
The other game that I couldn't have been more wrong about was I really thought that LSU would take it to USC. I really felt like Brian Kelly would have his team ready to go. It's a neutral site game, so they didn't, they went to Vegas. They didn't have to go to Southern California. I don't know if that ultimately made any kind of difference or not, but I felt like that USC defense, which had been much maligned a season ago, would continue to struggle, and we would see LSU. I thought they would win by at least a touchdown, if not more, and put up a good amount of points on USC. And man, I was surprised. I mean, Lincoln Riley and that USC defense, they looked improved from a season ago, and ultimately they get the win. And man, I even thought going into yesterday, I guess, that I thought Lincoln Riley would be firmly on the hot seat after that game, and he wasn't. And now I think Brian Kelly is probably more on the hot seat at LSU than Lincoln Riley is.
No, Kelly is.
Yeah.
Kelly is. No, because that doesn't fly at LSU.
Right.
That's not the way you're supposed to roll. But I too was surprised at the defense. It was much better, much improved. And we've had conversation after conversation last season during football season with regards to USC and the fact that they were really very poor when it came to defense. So you're right. There was a lot of improvement. But I don't know that USC is going to be that team that's going to make a run. I think probably they will not make the playoffs because they're not going to, right now, if I look at them lining up against Ohio State, who you got?
Oh, I mean, Ohio State.
Oh,
for sure. Yeah. There's no doubt about that.
So that's kind of where I'm at right now with did they look good? They look good against LSU. How good is LSU? You and I are not quite sure, really. They're going to be good. I think they're going to win more games than they lose. But how good are they? I don't know that we can tell yet.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying they won't be good. I'm just saying I can't tell.
The final college football question that I'll pose to you, Paul, goes back to hour number 1 when I said I had a K-State college football question for you. And then later on in the hour, we'll get into the Chiefs who open up their season in just over 48 hours. But my question regarding KU and K-State, both of these teams play FCS opponents. Both of them win handily, but it wasn't like either team looked extremely dominant. And I think that there's a variety of reasons for that. Honestly, none of which are concerning, I think, for either team. But as a football coach yourself, when you're playing an opponent that you are head and shoulders better than, and you come out of that game a little bit sloppy, and I think both Lance Leipold for KU and Chris Kleiman for K-State are saying that, especially offensively, we were pretty sloppy in that opening game. Is that something that you think the coaches are, I don't even want to say concerned about, but they point towards as a place to work on moving forward? Or is it you just chalk it up to the first game of the season, you're playing an FCS opponent, and we just move on and we get to our next game?
Always take advantage, if you're a coaching staff, of being able to point out what you did wrong, how you did it wrong, maybe the effort in the wrongdoing. Always take that chance, always take that opportunity, point it out. So I'm sure there's going to be some rebuilding on that. Listen, I'm not sure, at least against UT Martin. Let's remember there was a special team score involved in that score, which means you didn't even really score 30 points.
Right.
And that to me is a concern because I thought it would probably be somewhere in the 40s minimum just on points scored by offense, not counting special teams. So I know I'm a little concerned. You would use the word concern. I would be concerned
more about K-State than KU or both teams.
I'm a little bit more concerned for K-State at this very moment. And part of that is the fact that the line on Avery Johnson was nothing eye-popping. It didn't. It was 180 some yards passing. There was an interception, 2 TDs.
And Jalen Daniels had an interception.
I'm just going off my head. I can't remember, but something like 14 for 21, 22, something like that. Avery Johnson.
It wasn't great. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't great.
No. But I mean, this is, UT Martin we're talking about, and therein lies part of the problem. So if you're a K-State fan, you're cautiously optimistic that this will be a good team. And I know there will be tremendous strides made this year. You've got these kids on tape now. You're going to break that down. You're going to show these kids the tape. You're going to break it all down with your staff. So I think it's a good thing. I think K-State will certainly benefit. We both know that Coach Kleiman is good at taking these kind of opportunities and making them work to his advantage. So I think it'll work out fine. I still think, gosh, this is a team with so much potential. They'll be good. You just got to get them to where they're doing everything. Coach Kleiman is one of those special kind of coaches where he insists that you do the things that he and his staff have done. He has done a lot of the same things over the years, and it's got him a lot of success. So he believes in it. And if he believes in it, he's going to make you believe in it. And so it'll get better. It'll get to the point where this will be a good football team. And this was a good win, but it wasn't a good enough win against a Division I AA type school for you to go, man, we should have blown them out by 50. Well, maybe you should have, but you didn't. So now let's work on it. I mean,
well, yeah, and for both KU and K-State, the challenges get increasingly more difficult this weekend. They both go on the road. The Jayhawks play in Champaign, Illinois, taking on the Fighting Illini, and the Wildcats head to New Orleans to take on Tulane. And I mean,
don't look by that.
We know. I mean,
don't look by it.
Tulane has a new coach this year. Willie Fritz is no longer there. He's moved on to the Big 12. But I mean, Tulane historically, at least in the last few years, they've been really good. It's going to be a challenge for the Wildcats. They've got to play cleaner football. In fact, both teams have to play cleaner football if they want to get through their next opponents.
Right.
This weekend, you know, I saw a stat, Paul, last week that I might be butchering this, so don't quote me on it, but I believe that it's been 4 years, maybe 2021 was the last time that the Wildcats finished their non-conference schedule undefeated. They've lost at least one non-conference game every year for the last 3 or 4 seasons. So it's going to be a challenge for them this weekend against Tulane. If you want, you know, to be that much strongly considered for the 12-team playoff, you've got to get through your non-conference games unscathed. There's no doubt about that. We're going to have much more coverage on both KU and K-State's matchups this week. Tomorrow, Shreyas Salata from the Kansas City Star will join us to talk about KU, and then our buddy Tim Fitzgerald from GoPowerCat.com will be in on Thursday to talk about the Wildcats. So much more on KU and K-State as the week goes on. We're going to step aside. On the other side, let's get into the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll talk about that in their opener coming up in just over 48 hours from now. It's all on the way for you on Sports Daily.
Colin Huck's power washing is like getting to the top of Mount Everest with only a bag of beef jerky and a soda. Huck's can conquer all residential or commercial exterior cleaning woes that you have, leaving you feeling like you're on top of the world. House washing, window cleaning, driveway washing, to even graffiti removal. Coming this fall, we'll offer professional holiday lights installation. We love muck and gunk. You don't. Let Huck's handle it. Call for a quote today.
Right. Start your day with 12 News This Morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News This Morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just
right
search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over at Prairie Fire Coffee. Mornings at KFH, the staff enjoys a great cup of coffee from Prairie Fire Coffee. Paul, I'm already on, I think this is cup number 3 this morning. It's been just one of those mornings where I'm tired. You know, you come off a holiday weekend, I feel a little worn out.
Well, I've noticed. I mean, yeah. I've noticed you making numerous trips to the coffee bar.
I thought you were going to say you noticed that I look tired.
No,
which I was going to say. Well, I mean, I know I've got the bags under my eyes to prove it.
Yeah, but you and your coffee this morning. I've never seen you. I've never been on a show where you've drank so much coffee all in such a short period of time.
Well, you know, about an hour or two from now, I'll be making frequent trips to the bathroom. I'm pretty sure, but it's worth it to get me through this morning. So we appreciate our friends over at Prairie Fire Coffee.
Yeah, we do.
For taking care of us here in the KFH studio each and every morning. You got yours too.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course. Every morning.
That's why you agree to fill in and do this show, is because you get great coffee from Prairie Fire every morning.
And it's free here. Yeah. I mean, for me,
you don't have to pay for it.
Don't have to pay for it. You just come get it in Prairie Fire Coffee. Are you kidding me? Come on.
That's an added benefit that they don't put in the job description. You know,
That's right.
You get the paycheck, you get the notoriety, the fame that Paul Savage has in the market, but you get the free coffee.
And by the way,
that's more than anything else.
I want you to know this. Anytime the coffee pot runs down, I always take time. I take the old coffee filter out, put the new one in, push the button, brew it. I never leave it empty. And there are people around here. I'm not mentioning names, Jad. I'm not.
I just mentioned Jad's name.
No. I'm
telling. Is he the
Jad,
one that?
No, I'm not telling. I'm saying Jad because Jad's here all the time.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not going. I'm just not saying who does it. But I guarantee you one thing. I always put that refill in and push the button and make new coffee for the next guy. Got to do that. That's the right thing to do.
Well, I know you don't live far from the studios. If you'd like to come in every morning and make the coffee for us, you can have a free cup to go, you know, on your way out the door.
Anyway, I got to give Tony Dusing a lot of credit. Tony's always good about making sure we have fresh coffee. I mean, he's a great boss. And on top of all the great things he does, he keeps us in fresh coffee. He makes more pots than anybody else. Hats off to Tony Dusing, our What is he?
He's the brand manager for KFH,
the
the operations manager.
Yeah,
he's that too.
operations. I
mean,
don't know what his title is. It's changed on an occasion.
He's the brains behind the entire operation.
Anyway, congratulations
to
him. Tony Dusing.
Yep. So again, thank you to Prairie Fire Coffee for keeping us caffeinated each and every morning here on Sports Daily. Paul, let's get into the Chiefs. We were supposed to be joined by Dan Israel today from the Chiefs Radio Network. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to be joined by him today, but that's okay. We'll still talk about the Chiefs because we're getting ready to go. It's knocking on the doorstep just over 48 hours from now. The Chiefs kicked off their season. It's the NFL kickoff game Thursday night, taking on the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not sure that you could find an opponent for the Chiefs that has more intrigue to kick off their season than, I would say, the most likely challenger to them to win the American Football Conference this season than the Baltimore Ravens. And that's who the Chiefs start off their title defense against.
I was to say to you, Tommy, give me the two teams you think are going to have a possibility of winning the Super Bowl. You had mentioned the Ravens. You'd mentioned the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You just mentioned that. I think a lot of fans, I mean, other than the fact say you're a Bear fan, the Bears are going to win. No. I mean, teams that are really going to have a chance of winning. Who would it be? You would say these two teams. So, boy, this is the way to start out the season. And of course, I've seen a couple interviews with Mahomes as to, well, Patrick, what do you think about first game right out? It's on a Thursday, the first game of the whole year, and you're on national TV all by yourself, and and he goes, bring them on. You got to beat them. You got to beat them at the end of the season. You got to beat them at the first of the season. But I'll tell you what, whoever wins this game will have that badge of invincibility, and I don't know what that's worth in the NFL because we all know you're a quarterback away from getting hurt.
Sure,
being
100%.
on the top of the heap to what, mediocre maybe at best, but this is a good football team, and we all understand that. I think tonight, if I can just go out on a limb and say, and I know this doesn't sound spectacular, and it sounds maybe like I'm a little dull, I want to see the Kansas City Chiefs be able to run the football. I want to see them the more the Kansas City Chiefs can run the football, the more pressure it takes off a pass rush with Mahomes. And we all know what happens if Mahomes can get to a point where he's not the team is not dependent upon him to move the football. And I mean him specifically with regards to standing in a pocket trying to throw the football. If you can run the football and get something out of that and become a threat with the running of the football, how good could this team be, Tommy? This team could really be a contender for a Super Bowl, as it's not right now. But I'm saying even maybe to that next degree if they can run the football.
I really, really like their running back room today, more so than I did a week ago. And that has to do with their signing of Samaje Perine. Perine was cut by the Broncos. They bring him in, the Chiefs do. And, it was kind of a question, at least I had, when they brought him in. Okay, well, what does that mean for the other running backs on this roster outside of Isaiah Pacheco? And now we know over the weekend, the news came down that Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been placed on the non-injury list. And so he has to miss a minimum of the first 4 games. And so, of course, it's been documented during this offseason about the struggles that Clyde Edwards-Helaire has had dealing with PTSD and some of the other things that he has going on. So you don't want, obviously that's not a positive thing. So I'm not going to wish that on him. I'm not going to say I'm glad that he's not on the roster. But at the same time, I've always liked Samaje Perine. And I thought that Samaje Perine, when he was cut by the Broncos, I thought that he was one of the best running backs on their roster. I know they've got a handful of other guys they really like. Javonte Williams, they like Jaleel McLaughlin, they like these other guys. And so it made Perine kind of a casualty. But what I like about Samaje Perine, Paul, is that not only can he be an effective runner, but he can also be a pass catcher out of the backfield. And that's really where the Chiefs, I think, have lacked in the running game, because you've got Isaiah Pacheco, who's a bruiser, right? He's going to bruise the defenders when he's running the football. Carson Steele, they've got him on the roster now. He's kind of the same way. If he can be effective as, he can be kind of that Swiss Army knife and play fullback and do a bunch of different things. But they didn't really have a pass catcher on that roster. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has underperformed in that regard, and they didn't bring back Jerick McKinnon. So I felt like they were desperately needing that, and they get that now in Samaje Perine. I think it makes the running game that much more multi-layered and, more than just one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like Perine back in his days of Oklahoma. I mean, it seems like yesterday we were watching him play in the in the crimson and cream, you know.
Yeah.
So I've always liked him. You know, the funny thing is now, and maybe I'm wrong on this observation. You can tell me because it's strictly anecdotal. I mean, I have no way to prove this, but it seems like to me he was more physical at the University of Oklahoma than he is in the NFL. But that might be because of, you know, let's face it, competition. I mean, a safety coming up and striking a blow is different at the NFL level than it is at the college level. So I get that. But I like the addition of Perine as well. And at this point, knowing what I know and assuming that if everything's all healthy and we're all good to go, you know, he could be a very, very good.
I think he'll be more effective than Clyde Edwards-Helaire was.
Well, I think that's a possibility too.
And again, I don't wish any bad things on Clyde Edwards-Helaire at all. You know, I hope that he finds himself in a healthy place and he can come back and he can be on this active roster this season and can contribute.
Right.
But
IR states sickness. And
I don't football injury.
Yeah,
we don't exactly
I don't
know.
like the term sickness because there's things that it's not like he's got the stomach flu.
He came out a couple of weeks ago and talked about how he had been dealing with some mental health.
That's right.
Things.
And so that's why, you know, I'm just, it's
so
just,
you never want, I don't want to wish bad on him whatsoever.
That's right. No, we want the best for him.
100%.
Best for everybody.
But I do think from just a pure football perspective,
right.
I mean, unfortunately, and this sucks to say about a guy that was a former first-round draft pick for the Kansas City Chiefs, I think Samaje Perine can be more effective than Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Right.
I think from a purely football standpoint, they made that running back depth chart better by signing Samaje Perine, even if it just simply is pass catching out of the backfield. And even over the last 2 seasons, Perine has more catches, more yards, and more touchdowns from catching the football and receiving than Clyde Edwards-Helaire did over the last 2 years. And so I do think that's important. And I think another thing that you can look at with the running back room, Paul, and I want to get your thoughts on this, is how many times last season, the season before, and this has happened for a little while now, where the Chiefs would have a 3rd and 1 or a 3rd and 2, and they needed to move the chains. And they didn't really have a standard run up the middle type play that would work for them to consistently move the chains. You always kind of saw them doing some kind of misdirection, you know, something kind of unique. There were, you know, receivers in motion, all these different things to try to get a yard or two.
It was always on the edge, wasn't it?
It's always on the edge.
Always on the edge.
Obviously, Isaiah Pacheco is a bruiser type running back. Carson Steele is a bruiser type running back. We saw Carson Steele do this in the preseason. Do you feel more confident now with the players that the Chiefs have in the running back room to convert 3rd and short situations?
I'll tell you, when I see the offensive line, I need to see a couple of plays where it's 3rd and 1. What are you going to do? I want to see movement. I want to, you know, that's that physicality.
Because we know they're not going to do a quarterback sneak. I mean, that's not,
they're not
going to put Mahomes in that kind of position.
They're not doing
so,
that.
But it was always so frustrating to me because I never felt like they would be able to convert on those 3rd and short. And I actually feel like with the running backs they have now, and I know offensive line is a large part of that as well, but at least with the running backs they have now, they've got, you know, probably a little bit better likelihood of doing that more consistently.
Is it fair enough to say I want to see a game where, and I want to see the physicality of the offensive line? I want to see if there's that.
Absolutely fair.
I think because you're asking me a question that you can have the best running back in the world. You can have Zonka, Jim Zonka. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Jim Zonka, the fullback. That was back in the day when they had true fullbacks.
Was that Larry? Was it Larry Zonka?
Larry Zonka.
Yeah.
What did I say? Larry Zonka.
Yeah.
Larry Zonka
Yeah.
with the Dolphins. And remember how physical he was? He can't be physical if you don't have a physical, you know, offensive line and get movement. So I'm going to reserve this time till next week when I'm back on after the Chiefs have played and I can watch and see and kind of get a feel for that. Then I'll give you an answer. I'm not sure I can give you an answer right now. I got to see. I got to see how physical we are up front.
By all accounts, it looks like the rookie Kingsley Suamataia will more than likely start at left tackle. And so you've got, you know, a 2nd-round draft pick rookie on opening day against the Ravens and their pass rush, you know, playing on the left side and being, you know, that protector for Patrick Mahomes. I think that's going to be something that bears watching for sure, you know, as we get into the first week of the season. Taking a look at the opponent, Paul, the Baltimore Ravens, it's a team that challenged the Chiefs, pushed the Chiefs almost to the brink in the AFC Championship game. I really think that, you know, had it been not for John Harbaugh, calling a game that was ridiculous and should have ran the ball significantly more and, done some different things. I think that the Ravens would have probably been in the Super Bowl last year. I think they probably would have beat the Chiefs. He got away from the game plan, but now they've brought in a reinforcement by the name of Derrick Henry. So you've got obviously the dynamic player in Lamar Jackson, the reigning NFL MVP. You've got some really dynamic wide receivers in Zay Flowers, and they like some of these other guys, Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar and all of that. Mark Andrews is a great tight end. And then, oh, by the way, you add Derrick Henry to the mix. It could make an offense that was already pretty dynamic that much better this year.
Yeah, I remember that day well when Derek Thomas said he was going to the
Derrick Henry, yeah.
Derrick Henry going to the Ravens.
Yeah.
And I can remember thinking to myself, dang, of all the teams to go to, I knew he was going to go somewhere. We all knew he was going somewhere. Out of all the teams that he went to, I thought to myself when I heard the news, dang, of all the teams, I'd like to have seen him go anywhere but the Ravens, because he's got life in him. I think he's still got life in him. I still think he's got bang in him, and I still think can be a difference maker. So with that being said, I thought to myself, that's just great. Now you've got this weapon along with the rest of the offensive weapons on the Ravens. Oh my goodness, what are you doing to us? But good for the Ravens. I mean, they're doing what's best for them. Yeah. I think it was a smart move, and it's going to be a move that makes a difference, in my opinion. We'll see. Time will tell, but we'll see.
It will absolutely be a challenge for Kansas City as they kick off their season on Thursday night.
Oh my goodness!
And especially with the new look defense, you don't have L'Jarius Sneed anymore. You don't have Willie Gay Jr. anymore. You've got some younger guys, rookies that are going to be stepping into those different roles for Kansas City. So that's going to bear watching on Thursday night as the Chiefs open up their title defense against the Baltimore Ravens at home inside Arrowhead. We'll have much more on that game in the next day or two leading up to it. The NFL is back, kicks off Thursday night. We're looking forward to it. More on that to come here on Sports Daily. On the other side, let's give you a quick preview of what the Royals have in store tonight with the Guardians and what can Kansas City do to try to break their slump. We'll do that on the other side. It's Sports Daily on KFH.
Colin Huck's power washing is like getting to the top of Mount Everest with only a bag of beef jerky and a soda. Huck's can conquer all residential or commercial exterior cleaning woes that you have, leaving you feeling like you're on top of the world. House washing, window cleaning, driveway washing, to even graffiti removal. Coming this fall, we'll offer professional holiday lights installation. We love muck and gunk. You don't. Let Huck's handle it. Call for a quote today.
Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just
right
search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
Welcome back, everybody. This portion of Sports Daily brought to you by Crestview Country Club. It's a great week to get out there, enjoy everything that the club has to offer. Perfect golf weather this week and this weekend. Great opportunity to get out there and enjoy some great food and drinks as well. Paul, I'm playing in a tournament at Crestview this weekend. It's their annual member golf tournament.
Oh,
so
how fun.
It's myself and a friend of mine. We team up. We compete against other duos out there on the course. We play on Saturday and Sunday. And then Friday night, they do what they call the stag dinner. And so we get to go out there. They'll do like big porterhouse steaks for everybody.
Whoa.
And you just kind of hang out, enjoy your time. And then the tournament starts the next morning.
Oh,
so
man.
I'll be
how
doing that this
fun.
weekend. Should be a good time.
Yeah. And I've eaten at Crestview Country Club numerous times.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, they know how to put on the feed, don't they? I mean, that is a great place to have lunch or dinner. Boy, congratulations on that. I think that's wonderful.
I just got to make sure that the golf game is, on par and pun intended, I guess.
Yeah,
and
you're
that
going to miss
I'm
your
playing
tea time
well.
because of the steak.
I might.
I could see that coming.
That might happen. But
Hey.
yeah, give Crestview a call.
Yeah.
We definitely appreciate them being a part of this program. Really
Right.
quick, Paul, before we go to our final break of the show, Royals and Guardians tonight, game number 2 of this series at Kauffman. The Royals have got to stem the tide. They've got to try to find a way to get back on the winning side of things, because it could get away from them very quickly, especially when you're playing a team like the Guardians. Brady Singer pitching tonight for the Royals. He's been up and down, but recently he's been, I think, more up than down. But it's ultimately going to come down to the lineup. In your mind, what do you think that the Royals need to do if they want to try to turn things around?
Score one more run tonight than the other team.
But you've been in locker rooms before, and
Right.
you've got a team that it seems like the weight of the world is on their shoulders right now.
Sure.
If you're Matt Quatrero, if you're the manager, how do you get them back and going and ready to get back on track?
Well, I think you're at a point now where you've and these guys, they know where they're at, where they sit.
Yeah.
But when we talked to Mike earlier today from Kansas City, it was very interesting that he said, time's up, time's out. We're running out of time. There is, there's no tomorrow. And if you remember the comment he said where a 4-game lead in the wild card can evaporate very, very
Absolutely.
quick. You remember that line? That line stuck with me. I remember that line. I rarely say, rarely does anybody say who follows baseball, one game is important. Tommy.
Every game.
But right
from here on
now,
out.
for the Royals, not
Yep.
for everybody in baseball, but for the Royals right now, every game is important. This is an important baseball game. Regular season, important because you're on a 6-game slide right now. You've got to get back. You want to go to the wild card minimum. Tonight's tonight. You got to stem the tide somewhere. So how important is tonight? It's like a playoff game, almost like a play. That's how important wins are right now for the Royals.
Yeah, I think that you're right on when you say it. It should have the feeling of a playoff game. It should have the feeling of, you're in a series where you're battling for your playoff life. And yeah, they might have a cushion in the wild card right now, but that could evaporate fairly quickly. And you could, in theory, if you win this series, if you can shake off the 6-game losing streak, if you can shake off losing yesterday, if you can get things turned around, they could still be in a position to compete for the AL Central. They could be, but it starts tonight. If you lose the rest of this series, you're out of the AL Central hunt. You just are. Like you're going to be playing for a wild card, and that's about it.
Well, I'm almost assuming that's what they're playing for now. I mean, because after all, it was 6 days ago. You're tied for the division, and now you're 4.5 games back. So this is one of those must wins. You hate to say that. Here we are in the first week of September.
Yeah.
Still almost 4 weeks of baseball left, and we're saying a must-win game. Tommy,
the relevancy is there.
The relevancy
and that's
is
great.
there.
It's
That's
wonderful.
Well said.
In this particular game, yesterday they
Good way of putting
faced Gavin Williams, and he pitched really, really well.
Right.
It's going to be a less test for the Royals tonight, but they still have to get the runs across.
Right. Before we go to break, congratulations to our own Jad Chambers, Odyssey Employee of the Month.
Yeah.
Let's hear it for Jad
He
Chambers,
was.
everybody. Oh, look at the audience crowd. They're all rising to their feet.
They were a couple of months ago when it was true.
Yeah, Paul, you announced that like breaking news, and that's been about 2 or 3 months since
But it's breaking news to me. I didn't know.
when we first congratulated him. But congratulations, Chad. You've earned that. You deserve that.
Yeah, there you go.
Only Paul Savage could make a 2 or 3 month old news clip sound
I
like
didn't
breaking
know it
news.
was that old.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back to wrap things up on Sports Daily.
Colin Huck's power washing is like getting to the top of Mount Everest with only a bag of beef jerky and a soda. Huck's can conquer all residential or commercial exterior cleaning woes that you have, leaving you feeling like you're on top of the world. House washing, window cleaning, driveway washing, to even graffiti removal. Coming this fall, we'll offer professional holiday lights installation. We love muck and gunk. You don't. Let Huck's handle it. Call for a quote today.
Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just
right
search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
All right, thanks a lot, everybody. That's going to wrap it up for us on a Tuesday. Coming up on the network today, Jim Rome at 11, Bob and Jeff locally from 2 until 4, Zach Gelb at 4 o'clock, JR Sport Brief at 6, and then at 6:30, pregame coverage begins from Kansas City, the Royals and the Guardians. It's a must-win game. You'll be able to hear all of it right here on KFH. Tomorrow on the show, we'll talk to Shreyas Laddha, our KU insider. That's going to be a great interview as the Jayhawks get ready for their game against Illinois this weekend, and a whole lot more. Paul, appreciate it. Great to hang out with you the last couple days.
Had a ball. Let's do it again.
For Jad Chambers and Paul Savage, I'm Tommy Castor. We'll see you back here tomorrow.